official start.
Yeah.
Der Präsident!
So, wunderbar. Opa. Die Sitzung ist wieder aufgenommen. Das Protokoll der gestrigen Sitzung und die angenommenen Texte sind verfügbar. Gibt es dagegen Einwände? Das ist nicht der Fall. Damit ist das Protokoll genehmigt. Ich habe eine Ankündigung zu machen. Von der S- und D-Fraktion habe ich Anträge auf Benennungen in Ausschüsse und Delegationen erhalten. Die Liste dieser Benennungen wird im Protokoll dieser Sitzung veröffentlicht. Wenn bis zur Genehmigung des Protokolls kein Widerspruch erhoben wird, gelten diese Benennungen als bestätigt. Wir kommen jetzt zum ersten Punkt der Tagesordnung, der Erklärung der Vizepräsidentin der Kommission und Hohen Vertreterin der Union für die Außen- und Sicherheitspolitik zur Frage der Anerkennung der palästinensischen Eigenstaatlichkeit. Frau Hohe Vertreterin, Sie haben das Wort.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, let me say how much I appreciate the fact of being here in this capacity for the first time in my mandate, this first 3 weeks and something. And maybe to reassure you and all the European Parliament of the fact that maybe we can go back to the way in which the treaties call me, High Representative / Vice President. I assure you that I will be Vice President of the Commission. No need to switch the order. I give you a political reassurance on that. But I think it's good that we all stick to the treaties and in content and in forms. First of all, I would like to thank you for this timely debate. I think it is a crucial debate coming at a crucial time. I just visited in my first week in office Israel and Palestine, including Gaza, Jerusalem and the West Bank, and I can report back to you, as I did with the Council, with the Foreign Affairs Council, a sense of urgency that we have there in the region, on both sides. Very different on one side and on the other side, but on both sides a very tense situation where the lack of a political perspective is at the same time the consequence and the result and the cause of violence that is risking to going back. And we see that in these weeks with terrorist attacks on one side and on decisions on the other side that risk to put in danger the perspective of a two-state solution. This sense of urgency is getting higher and higher in the absence of a political process, of a political perspective. We have experienced in the last months first the suspension of the talks last spring, then the conflict in Gaza. Luckily, and thanks to a good political initiative by some actors in the region and internationally, starting from Egypt, the reachment of the ceasefire in the end of August, then a donors' conference not many weeks ago, always in Cairo. Still, all of this is not reopening the way to a political perspective, to direct talks or to steps that can bring back hope in the fact that what we call the two-state solution can become a reality in the near future. We have some open points. On one side, we have the dramatic open point of Gaza, where I've seen a desperate situation. where we have seen that the Palestinian Authority has more than difficulties in doing what we all hope it could do, go to rule Gaza, starting from the security side and the control of the crossings. And we have on the other side decisions like the one of the settlements that is actually going in an opposite direction rather than the one indicated by the agreed negotiations. In this framework, I think this debate today about the role that the European Union can have in this process is crucial. That's why I decided to go in my first week in office, because we are the first trade partner for Israel and we are the first donor for the Palestinian Authority. And we can be the first political player in the region to facilitate a dialogue that has to be a direct dialogue between the Israelis and the Palestinians, but that maybe for the first time really has the chance of becoming regional. I've seen in my visit, and I've shared that with the member states of the European Union also, the fact that maybe for the first time we have such a dramatic threat and challenge in the region, in the Middle East, namely Daesh, that poses a different set of priorities to the actors of the region. And I've seen an awareness, both in Israel and in Palestine, that the order of priorities is changing, not only in the region, but also in Europe, also on the other side of the Atlantic, also for the international community, but that we have a clear possibility there to unite different actors that now share the same concern for security and stability of the region. We have threats in the regional framework today, but we also maybe have out of these threats an opportunity. On the other side, the vacuum that is there and is risking to be even more relevant, especially in Gaza, given the regional framework, could lead to more dangerous outcomes. The situation in Gaza, either it gets better on the ground or it risks to open the way for a more worrying situation in terms of who controls what in that territory and who networks with whom in the region. That's why I think it would be wise from my side today not only to listen to you, to the debate, but also to try and give you some inputs on what kind of political elements we can have as European Union to restart a peace process, to restart a political process, a political perspective. I would start from the regional framework. I believe that in 2002, the Arab Peace Initiative was probably a missed opportunity. And that could constitute today one of the elements of a renewed effort, regionally and internationally, to put actors on the table, because we know, around the table, because we know that we have a Palestinian-Israeli conflict, but we also know that we have an Arab-Israeli conflict that we have to work on. And maybe this set of threats and opportunities in the region could give us an opportunity to work on the Middle East peace process on a broader scale and include, in particular, not only the Arab League, that is going to have the ministerial meeting this weekend, and that is for sure listening carefully to the messages that are coming from here today, but also to some key Arab countries. Egypt, for sure, not only for the role that it has played historically and in the last months, but also because it has a certain leverage on Gaza through Rafah, but also Jordan, as it has a special role on the status of the holy sites in Jerusalem, and I would mention also Saudi Arabia as the initiator of the Arab Peace Initiative in 2002. I can share here with you the thoughts that I have shared with the Member States during the last Foreign Affairs Council on the need to have a European Union initiative together with this Arab League and Arab states in particular, with the US, I'm in constant contact with John Kerry, that is renewing his commitment to reopen the way for negotiations, and with the UN, also because we know that the UN Security Council could be a way to redefine the framework of an initiative. And I would mention the UN Security Council in a way, in a vision, not to have a resolution that could split, but rather unite the international actors to find a solution. The European Union effort in these same weeks, is to try and put that framework together. I will take not more than into account, I will take note of your debate today, because I believe that a parliamentary debate, and then if you're going to take a vote on this next month, can fit in the process of a European common approach. You know very well that the recognition of a state is not within the competences of the European Union. This is a competence technically and politically, responsibility of member states, of single member states. But I would never say to you, as I have not said that to the ministers of the member states when we had the Foreign Affairs Council last week, that this is not my business. This is obviously technically not my business, but politically it is, because I believe that we need, and I appreciate the drafts that I've seen of the resolutions that encourage me to do so. I think that we need to share a vision, to share a common understanding of the situation, and also, if we manage, and I think the European Parliament can help me in that, can help us in that, also to shape a common European approach of national initiatives that could go in the same direction. In this, I think that the European Parliament can play a very important role. The message that is coming today, I will take the chance of replying at the end of the debate, but to me today it's also important to listen to the orientation that comes from the European Parliament, knowing that only if we will manage to take into account all the different views and try to make a common view of these different views, both coming from different political groups or from different member states, we will have the chance of playing our role at full in the region. Only if we send united messages as European Union in the region, our potential can be really used. And here comes also a good leverage that you have in terms of parliamentary diplomacy. Don't underestimate it. I will do all that I can, and I know that you can count on that. But you also have some instruments, some important instruments, in your daily or weekly or monthly contacts with the counterparts there. If we manage to send a united and strong message, we probably have a chance of influencing the course of the events in the Middle East. And I would like to state what is already our common position, but sometimes we just refer to the two-state solution as a slogan. And I think it's useful that we name what this means, because I was surprised by the fact that when I said, when I was in Israel and Palestine, we need a Palestinian state, surprise. Well, two-state solution means that we need to have an Israeli state that is able to live in security, and this is an issue we have to deal with, and also a Palestinian state that we do not have at the moment. So when I said also publicly, we can discuss of the recognition of a Palestinian state. Some member states are doing that in national parliaments. You are going to have a debate in this parliament, and I will be listening to your orientation on that very carefully. National governments are going to take decisions or not in this time or later. But the important thing, I believe, is that we all work towards the same goal with the most effective instruments, coordinating these instruments if we manage, and that's my responsibility, to get these results done. And these results are the creation of a Palestinian state, within the 67 borders, with swaps, if agreed, with Jerusalem capital of the two states. And this is already agreed. This is a consensual common position, historical position. But I think it's right that we go into the details of what our historical position is, to remind ourselves what does it mean, a two-state solution. And with the right of Israel not only to exist, but to exist in security and safety and peace in the region. And with all the Palestinians, being them in West Bank, in Jerusalem or in Gaza, having one state, finally. I am looking forward to listen to your contributions to that, and I will take note of that in this framework. That of someone that knows very well that opinions that are expressed in Parliament, even if they are not, as it is in this case, targeted to an imminent decision that can become operational, because it's not in the power of the European Parliament, as it is not in the power of the High Representative / Vice President to recognise a state. It is our common responsibility to work together to achieve the goal that I just stated. The creation of a Palestinian state in these elements, in this framework, and a work with Israel to guarantee peace and security in the region. I believe, I said that to the Israelis, I said to the Palestinians, and I'm saying that to the Arab countries of the region, there is no way of having security if we do not also have a Palestinian state. There is no way of having a Palestinian state if we do not guarantee security, stability and peace also to the Israelis. That is the very same concept, the core of the efforts that the European Union has always worked on. Today, it's probably more difficult than ever, but sometimes it's when it is more difficult then people around the table realise that a plus of political will and internal leadership is needed and might make an effort in that direction. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President. Colleagues, before we enter into the debate, let me tell you that we have about 60 speakers on the list. I will therefore